Betrayal is not simply the breaking of trust. It is the breaking of an illusion. It wounds so deeply not because of what another person has done, but because of what the heart believed they would never do. It is the collapse of expectation. Most pain in betrayal does not come from the act itself, but from the shock that someone who was trusted could choose falsehood over loyalty, selfishness over honesty. The mind cries out, "How could they?" Yet the world has always been filled with flawed and fragile beings, capable of both kindness and cruelty. Betrayal is not new, only our surprise is. This is why betrayal feels like a double-edged wound. It harms not only from the outside, but from within. It feels personal, targeted, unjust. The heart feels abandoned, the mind feels made a fool, and the soul feels shaken. However, one must remember this. Betrayal is part of the human condition. People will act according to their nature, not according to the expectations placed upon them. To believe that others will never act out of fear, envy, weakness, or desire is to misunderstand both them and the world. The Stoic approach begins here, not in rage, not in vengeance, but in understanding. Not everyone who smiles is loyal. Not everyone who speaks kindly intends good. Yet this is not a reason to hate the world. It is a reason to see clearly. Betrayal becomes unbearable only when one expects loyalty from all, honesty from the deceitful, courage from the fearful, and virtue from the selfish. What breaks the heart is not their nature. It is the belief that their nature was different. So the first lesson is this: do not anchor peace on the promises or behavior of others. Build it upon what lies within your control. Betrayal may touch the heart, but it does not have to corrupt the soul. You cannot stop people from being as they are, but you can choose whether their actions rule your mind. Those who expect perfection from others will live in constant disappointment. Those who understand human nature will be surprised not by betrayal, but by loyalty, and will treasure it more deeply when it comes. Betrayal is unlike other kinds of pain. Injury to the body can be endured, misfortune can be faced, but the wound of betrayal strikes deeper because it is dealt by a hand once trusted. It hurts because it is not just an action. It is a collapse of certainty. Trust is built on the belief that someone will choose loyalty over selfishness when it matters. When they do not, the mind is left standing between two worlds, what was believed and what is now undeniable. In that space lies pain. Betrayal also harms because it exposes a truth few want to see, that no one is truly ours to control. Not their thoughts, their choices, nor their loyalty. And what cannot be controlled often becomes what is most feared. But beneath all of this lies a more difficult truth. Betrayal hurts most when the heart has placed its stability in others rather than in virtue. What causes the deepest suffering is not only the act itself, but the belief that one's peace, happiness, and dignity are tied to another person's faithfulness. The Stoics teach that expectations give betrayal its power. Where there is possession, this person is mine, this loyalty is guaranteed, this trust is unbreakable, there is vulnerability. Not because love or trust are wrong, but because they are mistakenly treated as unchangeable. No one is promised loyalty. No one is obligated to remain as they once were. And so betrayal becomes a reminder, painful yet necessary, that everything external is uncertain. People's hearts change. Their desires shift. Their fear, ambition, jealousy, and weakness can overpower even their best intentions. This does not mean trust no one. It means trust with open eyes, aware that human beings are imperfect. It means love without becoming dependent, trust without becoming blind, and give without expecting a guarantee in return. Betrayal hurts the soul when it takes away more than it should, when it steals joy, peace, hope, or the will to act with goodness. But no betrayal, however cruel, has the power to take away wisdom, virtue, or the choice to remain just. Pain from betrayal is natural. Letting it turn the heart bitter is a decision. There is a limit to what can be governed in this life. One may influence, guide, teach, or hope, but never command the hearts of others. Betrayal becomes unbearable when a person believes they should have been able to prevent it. The first step toward peace is understanding the difference between what belongs to you and what does not. What lies within your control? Your thoughts, your judgments, your responses, your willingness to remain just, even when others are not. What lies beyond your control? The loyalty of others, their honesty or deception, their promises, their choices, their love, their betrayal. Confusion between these two is the root of suffering. Betrayal cuts deepest when the mind insists, "They should not have done this to me." Yet nature does not move according to our wishes. People act as they believe, as they desire, as they fear. To expect someone to act always with virtue is to deny the reality of human weakness. The Stoics did not teach indifference to betrayal. They taught clarity. Pain is felt, but the mind decides whether that pain becomes poison. The actions of others are not yours. Only your reaction belongs to you. And in your reaction lies either freedom or slavery. To mourn lost trust is natural. To let it shape your character into bitterness or vengeance, that is a choice. A wise mind does not say, "No one should ever hurt me," but rather, "No matter what is done, I will choose my response carefully. Let others act according to their nature. I will act according to mine." This is not weakness. It is sovereignty. For the one who controls their response remains unconquered. Even in betrayal, the world may take loyalty, honesty, or companionship away. But it cannot take integrity unless it is surrendered willingly. Those who expect perfection from others will be hurt repeatedly by life, not because the world is cruel, but because their expectations are fragile. Human beings are inconsistent creatures. They desire what is good, yet often choose what is harmful. They speak of loyalty, yet fear discomfort. They love truth, yet hide behind lies when it protects their pride. This is not a condemnation of humanity. It is simply its nature. To expect people to never deceive, never betray, never act from jealousy, fear, or selfishness is to live in illusion. Disappointment then becomes endless, because the mind demands from others what even the wisest struggle to uphold. Betrayal often hurts more because of surprise than because of the act itself. The mind whispers, "They were kind. How could they become cruel? They promised. How could they change?" But human beings are not fixed statues. They shift with emotion, circumstance, insecurity, desire. The same person who was once sincere may later become frightened, ambitious, or resentful. The heart changes, and so do its loyalties. This is why the Stoics teach, Do not hate people for their weakness. Understand it. Do not rely entirely on their promises. Observe their character. Do not be amazed when someone fails. Be amazed when someone remains steadfast. This does not mean one should become cold or closed off. It means love people, but know they are human. Trust them, but remember they can fail. Walk beside them, but do not lean your entire weight upon them. Expectation says, "You must never hurt me." Understanding says, "You are human. You may hurt me, yet I will not let your actions make me unjust." Those who accept the flawed nature of human beings are not surprised by betrayal, and so they do not break when it arrives. They may feel pain, but not confusion. They may feel sorrow, but not destruction. To be wise is to expect imperfection, not to lose faith in people, but to protect the soul from being shattered by their weakness. Betrayal brings pain, but pain itself is not the deepest danger. The true danger lies in allowing pain to turn into poison. That is the difference between being hurt and being harmed. To be hurt is to feel the natural sting of broken trust. The heart aches, the mind feels shaken. This is human. No philosophy demands the absence of emotion. The Stoics did not deny pain. They denied its right to rule. To be harmed, however, is something greater and far more tragic. Harm happens when betrayal leads to bitterness, hatred, deceit, or the desire to cause pain in return. When the actions of another person provoke a response that goes against one's own character. Betrayal has succeeded twice. First in the act, second in the soul. Pain is often unavoidable. Corruption is not. The Stoics make this distinction clear. A person who is betrayed feels pain, but if they respond with dignity, they remain unharmed. A person who is betrayed and becomes vengeful, cruel, or deceitful has done worse to themselves than the betrayer ever could. For no one can force the soul to change its nature. No one can make you hate unless hatred is invited. No one can make you cruel unless cruelty is chosen. The mind remains free until it willingly surrenders. Thus, betrayal can hurt, but it cannot harm unless one allows it to reshape the heart. This is why the wise do not suppress pain. They contain it. They let it burn only in the heart, not in the soul. They acknowledge the wound, but do not feed it rage. They mourn loyalty lost, but do not abandon their own. The world may treat you with injustice, but to respond with injustice is to become your own enemy. Better to feel pain and remain good than to escape pain by becoming what you once despised. When betrayal enters a person's life, the first impulse is often anger. The heart demands justice. The mind reaches for revenge. But anger does not heal betrayal. It deepens the wound. To respond with hatred is to let the betrayer strike twice, once at your trust, and again at your character. The Stoic way is not to suppress emotion, but to govern it. Anger is allowed to knock on the door, but it is not given the keys to the house. So how should betrayal be met? First, with clarity. Do not rush to punish or shout. Step back from the first wave of emotion. The mind sees falsely when it is drowning in feeling. Let the initial fire pass. Only then can one see what is truly in front of them. Second, with understanding, not approval. Understanding someone's weakness does not mean excusing it. Betrayal often comes from fear, envy, ignorance, or selfish survival. Seeing this clearly does not make betrayal acceptable. It makes it comprehensible. And what is understood loses its power to torment. Third, with restraint. The world will tell you to attack, expose, humiliate. But retaliation binds you to the one who hurt you. It keeps the wound open. To remain calm is not weakness, it is mastery. To remain just is not surrender, it is victory. Fourth, with boundaries. Forgiveness is not the same as trust. One can let go of hatred and still choose distance. Respect for oneself demands it. The wise do not return to a burning house simply because the fire has stopped raging. Fifth, with focus on what remains. Betrayal makes people stare at the one who left, instead of valuing those who stayed. It turns the eyes toward loss, not loyalty. Gratitude is a quiet rebellion against betrayal. Hatred is easy. Self-control is strength. The one who refuses to become cruel in the face of cruelty is not weak. They are free. When betrayed, the heart immediately seeks balance. It cries out for justice, or worse, revenge. It wants the betrayer to feel the same pain that was inflicted. But revenge does not heal betrayal. It only multiplies suffering. The Stoic path is not to strike back, but to see clearly. To understand betrayal is not to approve of it. It is simply to witness human nature as it is, not as one hoped it would be. Betrayal is often born from fear, ambition, jealousy, pride, or weakness. People do what they believe protects them in the moment, even if it means harming another. This does not make betrayal righteous, but it makes it human. The one who seeks revenge becomes tied to the very person they wish to cast away. The betrayer controls their actions, thoughts, and emotions, not directly, but by provoking a reaction that abandons inner peace. Revenge is a chain. Understanding is freedom. Understanding says, this person acted according to their character, not according to my expectations. Their actions reflect who they are. My response reflects who I am. The greatest victory is not to punish betrayal, but to remain untouched by it. The wise do not rush to punish, nor do they cling to hatred. Instead, they quietly and firmly remove the betrayer from the inner circle of trust, without needing to injure them in return. They do not carry bitterness. They carry boundaries. They do not ask, how can I make them regret what they did? They ask, how can I go on living in accordance with virtue, even when wronged? To understand is to be free. To forgive is to be at peace. To forget wisdom and seek harm is to hand victory to betrayal. Not all who betray must be hated, and not all who hurt must be kept close. The Stoic way is neither blind forgiveness nor a heart filled with resentment. It is something far more powerful, distance without bitterness. When someone shows through action that they cannot be trusted, it is not cruelty to step away. It is wisdom. To allow someone repeated access to your peace while they continually damage it is not mercy. It is neglect of the self. But this distance must not be built on anger. Bitterness keeps you tied to the one who betrayed you. Hatred keeps them alive in your mind, even when they are far from your life. So the wise create space, but not walls of rage. They step back, but do not strike back. They choose silence, not spite. This kind of distance says, you are free to be as you are, and I am free to no longer be harmed by it. Your actions are a reflection of your nature. My response will be a reflection of mine. To walk away without hatred is the highest form of strength. To remove someone from access to your inner world while wishing them no harm, is true mastery. Because betrayal must not turn the heart into stone. It must teach the heart to guard itself with gentleness, not armor itself with cruelty. When betrayal happens, most people look outward, at the one who caused the pain. But the Stoics remind us, the most dangerous enemy is not outside, but within. The one who betrays can wound the heart, but only the inner self can destroy the soul. What is this inner enemy? It is the voice that whispers, hate them, hurt them, become like them. It is the bitterness that replaces compassion, the pride that refuses to heal, the anger that does not burn out, but burns inward. It is the desire for revenge disguised as justice. A betrayer can cause suffering. But when someone allows betrayal to turn them cruel, resentful, or deceitful, they have done worse to themselves than the betrayer ever could. No one can force the heart to hate. No one can force the mind to become unjust. These things happen only when the inner enemy is invited in. The Stoics teach that real harm does not come from other people. It comes from what we allow their actions to turn us into. If betrayal makes you distrust everyone, it wins twice. If betrayal makes you hateful, it wins twice. If betrayal makes you abandon your principles, it wins completely. Therefore, the true battle is not against the betrayer, but against the inner response, against bitterness, ego, spite, and the desire to retaliate. Victory is not found in making the other suffer. Victory is found in ensuring that, despite their actions, your soul remains just, compassionate, and uncorrupted. Though betrayal brings pain, it can also become a form of strength, if received with wisdom instead of hatred. Most see betrayal only as loss, but the Stoic sees it as revelation. It reveals who is truly loyal and who is not, where trust was given wisely and where it was misplaced, where the heart was dependent on others more than it should have been, how strong or unprepared the soul truly is. Betrayal is a mirror. It shows the nature of others, but more importantly, it reflects the condition of our own character. If betrayal leaves you bitter, then bitterness was already inside. If it leaves you vengeful, vengeance was already waiting. If it leaves you wiser, calmer, more discerning, then wisdom has taken root. There is strength in learning to trust, but not blindly, to forgive, but not enable, to walk away, but not hate, to remain open-hearted, yet no longer naive. Betrayal becomes a teacher when it reminds the soul where its peace must rest, not in people's promises, but in one's own principles. For when trust is broken, one is given a choice to become guarded and cruel, or to become wiser, kinder, and stronger in discernment. Strength is not closing the heart. It is keeping the heart open while building stronger gates around it. The one who learns from betrayal no longer fears it. They do not live in suspicion, but in clarity. They do not hate others for being human, but they do not hand them the power to hurt them twice. Thus betrayal, when met with truth and discipline, no longer weakens the soul. It forges it. Betrayal is not always something that can be stopped. But becoming a betrayer yourself is always a choice. Others may abandon loyalty, speak falsely, or act with cruelty. But if you answer with bitterness, deceit, or vengeance, then their betrayal has succeeded, because it has made you betray your own nature. Let them act according to their character. You must act according to yours. This is the highest form of strength, to be wounded and yet remain just, to be disappointed and yet remain kind, to be betrayed and yet refuse to become a betrayer in return. You cannot always prevent people from harming you, but you can always prevent them from changing you into something unworthy of yourself. Let them lie, remain truthful. Let them hate, remain calm. Let them betray, remain loyal to your principles. This does not mean staying close to those who harm you. Wisdom creates distance, but not hatred. It closes doors, but not the heart. It walks away, but does not sink into darkness. For in the end, betrayal is not the greatest danger. Self-betrayal is. What is done to you may hurt for a moment. What you do to your own soul lasts a lifetime. So let this be remembered. Betrayal from others is not your failure. Losing someone false is not a loss. The only true defeat is to abandon virtue because others abandon theirs. Let others break their promises. You must not break your character. Let them betray you if they must. Only do not betray yourself. When a person can say this and live it, betrayal no longer has power. And in that quiet, steady strength, there is peace.